Dear viewers, Drishti IAS presents to you a new program, Editorial Analysis. In this program, we will analyze editorials published in major English newspapers such as the Hindu, Indian Express, etc. for effective understanding of students. In this program, we will mainly focus on three things. First, establishing link of the editorial to UPSC syllabus. Second, understanding the main points of editorial under key points. And third, discussing important concepts mentioned in the editorial or which are necessary to understand the editorial. So starting with today's editorial analysis. Today's editorial has been taken up from the Hindu, which came under the name Liquidity Lifeline, and it talks about the recent stimulus package forwarded by the finance minister under the first tranche of Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. Let us see the UPSC syllabus linkage. Under GS2, you can link it with government policies and interventions for development in various sectors. And under GS3, you can directly link it with Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Let us see the key points. The editorial says that the first tranche of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has been announced by Finance Minister recently. That was yesterday. As a whole, the measures will go a long way in lifting the spirits of two key sectors. Now, there are two key sectors in India which have long been troubled, and these are the ones which needed stimulus most, and this is where the government has actually targeted, and these are MSME and NBFC. Now, the issue with MSME has been come to the existential crisis because they didn't have fund, whereas for NBFCs, the crisis was of liquidity, and government has thoroughly understood the problem and has released the stimulus package accordingly. Let us quickly look at the stimulus package announced by government for different sectors. First, for small businesses, that is MSME, it has released 3 lakh crore emergency credit under sovereign guarantee. Sovereign guarantee, that is the loan being given by the banks would be guaranteed by the government. In case there is a default, the government would be liable to pay them. And moreover, only domestic firms can bid for government procurements up to rupees 200 crores. And for infrastructure sector, that is in electricity, the government has targeted DISCOMs and it has provided rupees 90,000 crores stimulus package, which would be given by power PSUs to the DISCOMs, and the guarantee would be by state government. Then for financial sector, the government has targeted NBFC, and in this the package is of rupees 75,000 crores, out of which 45,000 crore would be partial credit guarantees for NBFCs and 30,000 crore would be special liquidity provision for microfinance, MFIs or housing finance firms. So this is where the editorial is actually focusing MSME, NBFCs, and under NBFCs, MFIs and housing finance firms. Apart from this, it has a passing mention of DISCOMs too. Let us see in detail what the editorial says further. Under the relief or stimulus packages, there have been 3 sectors which have been specifically targeted. These are MSMEs, finance intermediaries, that is NBFCs, and DISCOMs under infrastructure. Let us first see MSMEs. For MSMEs, the government has given rupees 3 lakh crore massive collateral free assistance. Collateral free means that if MSME take this loan from the banks, they won't have to guarantee any collateral in return. That is, they are not liable to promise anything in return when they are taking this loan. The entire burden of guarantee would fall upon the government because it's a sovereign credit guarantee. That is, if MSMEs default in paying back this loan amount to the banks, who will be paying instead of that? It would be government. Hence, it is called sovereign credit guarantee. And government has taken the guarantee upon itself because the banks have been reluctant in lending MSMEs because of trust deficit, as too many loans have turned NPAs and banks do not want to take any further risk. So, if the government wouldn't have stepped in, the banks wouldn't have supported these troubled borrowers any further. However, the government could have done something more, that is, it should have specified the interest cap on these loans. The government has taken up the guarantee upon itself, but it hasn't specified how much interest would be chargeable on these loans. The period for which the sovereign credit guarantee is being given is only till October 31st, which could have been till the end of this financial year, because as we all know, the monsoon is fast approaching and not too many enterprises would be in working condition in monsoon, and hence we do not know how many of them will actually get the benefit of this. Apart from this, there have been rupees 20,000 crore partially guaranteed subordinated debt program. So 20,000 crore have been extended under partially guaranteed subordinated debt program, and 50,000 crore has been promised under Fund of Funds scheme. Now, Fund of Funds schemes is nothing but there are too many underlying funds which cumulatively make one fund. That is, there might be equities, there might be investments, other kinds of fund which together, like this was one fund F1, this was another fund, and they together would make a pool of greater fund, that is F. So this would be called Fund of Funds scheme. These, the partially guaranteed subordinated debt program and Fund of Funds scheme, these both will help the MSMEs to have their equity in the market and they can take money from the market. So these both programs are targeted at equity portion, whereas the 3 lakh crore is directly from the banks. They do not have to borrow this from the market, rather this is from market. And last but not the least, the government has also altered the definition of MSMEs. Previously, the MSMEs were classified as micro, small and medium based on their investments. And obviously the micro enterprises had better incentives as compared to medium enterprises. So MSMEs knowingly wouldn't invest more so that they do not fall under medium category and lose out on those benefits. After the change of this definition, they don't have to think about all these things. The incentives would remain the same. So this will help MSMEs to grow from smaller or micro enterprises to bigger enterprises. For finance intermediaries like NBFCs are non-banking financial companies. There has been a separate stimulus package from the government. Now NBFCs, housing finance firms are the ones which help the housing sector take loan from banks and other places. And microfinance entities. Now microfinance entities, MFIs, are nothing but these are NBFCs. NBFCs are basically, there are banks in an economy. Now banks cannot be present everywhere because there are operational costs, there are infrastructural costs. So there are non-banking financial companies which fill up this gap that cannot be made up by banks. Like there are poor who need banking services and bank cannot have its branches everywhere. So the NBFCs step in, and these NBFCs are basically MFIs. So there are types of NBFCs, non-banking financial companies, two of which are housing finance firms and microfinance entities. They are furthermore, we need not look at it right now. To NBFCs, the government has released a 75,000 crore package, out of which 30,000 crore would be fully guaranteed by the government, whereas 45,000 crore will be partially guaranteed by the government. And this will help in breaking down the logjam where banks were not willing to give credit to these NBFCs. Now NBFCs make the middle link between bank and customer, but sometimes banks are reluctant to lend to NBFCs itself. Now if banks do not lend to NBFCs, how will NBFCs give it to customers? So the government has taken up the guarantee upon itself that in case the NBFCs default, the government would be liable to pay. So the much needed trust deficit has been filled by government by taking the guarantee upon itself. RBI had also released certain stimulus package for NBFCs. However, banks were still reluctant to provide them in absence of any guarantee, which would now be overcome after the government has taken the guarantee upon itself. So this will help remove the liquidity crisis that have been happening in NBFCs. For infrastructure, if you see in the electricity sector, the government has done well by providing rupees 90,000 crore infusion to DISCOMs, that is distribution companies. As you all know, the DISCOMs have been under lots of stress, for which the government had the Uday Yojana also. However, after this COVID-19 pandemic, the DISCOMs were gotten into stress as all the enterprises and economic activities had gone down, and all the commercial customers who were paying the electricity bills not paying the bills, and DISCOMs suffered the losses. So for them, rupees 90,000 crore infusion has been guaranteed. That would be backed by a state government guarantee. Here the state governments would provide the guarantee because DISCOMs fall under state governments. In conclusion, the editorial says these announcements are basically focused on liquidity part of the crisis. As you all know, be it MSME or NBFCs or infrastructure, the government has basically taken upon the guarantee to itself to provide the much needed liquidity right now, which these sectors lack, and provide that stimulus in the economy so that economy runs. So even though the announcements look very big, the reality is that the government will have to pay the liability of these loans only if these particular sectors fail to pay back. So even though the headline numbers look big, the onus of government would only come in question when the economic situation becomes hopeless. Otherwise, more or less, there would be guarantee that these sectors themselves would pay back all the loans. So, in reality, there is nothing much that government is doing right now except for providing the guarantee that if anything fails, the government would be there. These announcements are to break the confidence logjam. Now, India was not suffering from the liquidity crisis, it was suffering from confidence crisis because banks were not trusting the different sectors that they would return the money. So this confidence logjam has been broken by the government now, and it has given assurance to lenders and borrowers that government is willing to backstop their commitments if anything bad happens. Now this is the exact signal. This is what the MSMEs and lenders needed right now, as liquidity was always there in Indian economy, but the creditworthiness of borrowers was what in question, and this is where the government has now stepped in. Under key concepts, we spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan that the Prime Minister had recently spoken about. Now this Abhiyan is basically 5 pillars of self-reliant India, under which the 5 pillars are one, economy. So we would need quantum jumps over here, not just incremental changes, and that is why government is providing these stimulus packages. Second is infrastructure, one that represents modern India. When we talk about systems, we would be shifting towards technology driven systems. Demography, because we are sitting on a demographic dividend and it's a vibrant demography of largest democracy. So the Atmanirbhar Bharat would focus on demography. And demand, full utilization of power of demand and supply, so that if people have money in their hands and the demand is driven inside the country itself, the economy would be boosted. So these are 5 pillars of self-reliant India. Under this, the package of rupees 20 lakh crores has already been announced, which would make up 10% of GDP. The focus would be on 4 L's, that is land, labor, liquidity and laws. First, we have focused on liquidity, and it would be catering to laborers, middle class, cottage industry, MSMEs and industry. So this tranche was focusing on MSMEs. Now, what are the reforms that would be needed? Supply chain reforms for agriculture, rational tax system, simple and clear laws. So we need simplification on laws and tax, and capable human resource, strong financial systems. Talking about MSMEs definition, which has just been changed. So previously MSMEs were defined and classified as per their investment in plant and machinery. However, now they have included one more criteria, that is turnover. If you look at this table, this was existing MSME classification, and as you can see, the micro, small and medium enterprises are divided with respect to investments. Micro enterprise, if the investment is less than rupees 25 lakh crore, it is considered as micro, and for service it is less than 10 lakh crore. For small, it is less than 5 crore and 2 crore respectively, and for medium, if investment is less than 10 crore, then it is under medium, and 5 crore for service enterprise. So as you can compare and contrast that now these definition include for both manufacturing and services. Now this separate category has been removed and they have been merged as one. For both manufacturing and service MSME sector, the investment and turnover both are included in the criteria, that is investment of less than 1 crore and turnover of less than 5 crore is considered as micro. Investment of less than 10 crore and turnover of less than 50 crore is small, and investment of less than 20 crore and turnover of less than 100 crore is medium. Now this is the change in definition of MSMEs. Now we also spoke about the NBFCs and how exactly are NBFCs different from banks, we will see. First of all, NBFC is any company that is registered under Companies Act 1956, and it is essentially engaged in business of loans and advances. Now it extends the loans to the sectors which are not covered by banks as such on a large scale. They are also engaged in acquisition of shares, stocks, bonds, debentures and securities issued by government or any other local authority. However, there are certain institutions which, if NBFCs cover, they are not considered as NBFCs, which are agricultural activity. NBFCs are not supposed to be involved in agricultural activity, industrial activity, purchase of sale of any goods other than securities. They cannot purchase any goods, like they cannot directly go and purchase infrastructure material. They can only provide loan. Now the basic difference between banks and NBFCs is that NBFCs cannot accept demand deposits. These are the three criteria you need to remember with respect to bank and NBFCs. Banks can accept demand deposits, whereas NBFCs cannot. They cannot draw checks upon themselves because they are not part of payment and settlement system of any economy. So they do not have the right to have checks upon themselves. Then deposit insurance facility is absent for NBFCs. There are two other types of NBFCs we spoke about. One is housing finance firm, another is microfinance institutions. Now housing finance companies are basically engaged in making housing credit more affordable for the customers, and they are part of NBFCs only. Now there is National Housing Bank, which is a statutory organization under National Housing Bank Act 1987, and it is the apex level financial institution for housing sector. It is government owned, and it was only in 2019 that government has taken over the National Housing Bank from RBI completely. Now it is government control, and this was followed on the recommendation of Narasimhan Committee. Speaking of microfinance institutions, these are basically organizations that offer credit and financial service to low income population. Where banks are not able to reach, it's these microfinance institutions which come into play. Essentially, they provide loans, credit, access to savings account, even insurance policies and money transfers to small businesses. They provide resources and access to the capital for the financially underserved, where banks do not rely on poor section of population who cannot promise collaterals in return for their loans. This is where microfinance institutions step in and provide this much needed access to capital.